What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Knives Out, written and directed by Rian Johnson. I'm not going to waste no time. I'm going to get right into this. I overall thought that Knives Out was a great movie. I loved it. Now, I love whodunit type movies, but I love the whodunit type movies that are actually done really, really well. And I think Knives Out is one of those interesting whodunit movies that kind of turns the genre, that kind of reinvents the genre, so to speak. This movie to me has really, really strong writing. It's got a great visual look. The acting and the ensemble cast in this movie, they're all top notch. Everyone in this movie gives A+ performances. To me, Daniel Craig as Benoit DeBlanc, the detective of the movie, he steals the show. I thought Craig was fantastic as Benoit Blanc. He gives him a good he gives his character a southern drawl, but he also gives him a very interesting charisma and just a shred of mysteriousness to him. And I thought Craig played it out beautifully. And I think the character Benoit Blanc itself in this movie was outstanding. He's one of those detectives who is pays attention to detail. He looks for every nook and cranny he can within a case, just so he doesn't miss a damn thing. And Benoit Blanc's character is just like that, the attention to detail type of detective that I like so much. But on top of that, like I said, you have a really strong supporting cast as well, which is the entire family that this movie is focused on, the Tremblay family. The overall plot of this movie is that the patriarch of the family, called Harlan, was found dead, and pretty much every member of his family is a suspect. And as the movie progresses, we find out that every member of this dysfunctional family has a legitimate reason to wanting to off this man and pretty much gain a really monstrous inheritance from him as well once he gets off. Of course, as the movie progresses, we learn that none of his family members get the inheritance because pretty much Harlan doesn't really think too highly of either one of any of them, particularly his daughter-in-law and his son-in-law and his grandson, played by Chris Evans, who as the movie progresses, we find out that Chris Evans was the one that pretty much was this his character pretty much orchestrated the entire chain of events. Now, when it gets to the explanation as to how he did it all, yes, it can be extremely convoluted and just very like what, but I think on a second viewing, when you watch the movie knowing that Chris Evans' character was the one who did it, that'll kind of make it interesting to see just how all these events kind of get linked together. But it's actually fun seeing Blanc, solve the case and actually go along the trail to put all these pieces together as well. And seeing how he puts it together would make this movie very, very interesting and very, very fun to watch. And it's not your typical who done it type of movie. This movie has got a lot of good comedy. This movie's kind of like Clue. It has really good comedy in it. You know, it's got a good pacing to it. It's got good visuals to it. You have strong performances all throughout. You have a really good, interesting, and intriguing story throughout. Now, the movie, like halfway, well, I don't know, like 36 minutes in, like 40 minutes into the movie, we pretty much see what happens to the plumber character and how his character dies. But the fun part is seeing what his grandson did. We find out that his grandson did mischievous things to his grandfather because they had a blowout. Because ultimately, no one in this family got the inheritance that they wanted. Harlan ended up giving it to his caretaker, his nurse, because out of everyone in that household, the only person that Harlan really felt a connection to and really, you could say, genuinely cared about him, just for him and not for anything else, was his caretaker, was his nurse. And when the nurse finds out that she gets the inheritance, the entire family pretty much turns against her. And it's great stuff. It's really, really good. I like how Rian Johnson constructed this movie. I like how he wrote this movie. I like the casting. It's a very strong cast. Everyone puts in A+ performances. It's got a really tightly written, intriguing story to it. Now, even though Rian Johnson kind of telegraphed the fact that Chris Evans' character was the one who ultimately did it, to me, it doesn't hurt the movie because knowing that he did it and making it obvious to he did it, us as an audience member, we want to know exactly how he did it and how he was able to almost get away with it. And when that explanation happens, it's very gratifying knowing that, okay, this was the guy who did it. Now the fun part is seeing just how he did it. And when we see how he did it, it's actually it's pretty cool and very interesting as just to how intricate of a plot this movie really does have. And again, it's all well constructed in a very coherent way. You never get lost. You're always entertained by it. And again, strong performances from the cast make this movie work. If you didn't have the talent behind this movie, it kind of would have fell apart and fell by the wayside. But since you have Rian Johnson, who to me, who post Star Wars has been a very controversial figure, but I think when it comes to original work, that's where the man's talent gets to really show. Because I really liked Looper, and I really like this movie as well. And when it comes to original works, I would like to see more original work from Rian Johnson because I think the man does have a lot of talent to him. Just don't give him big franchises because he clearly does not know how to handle it. But for original work, I thought this movie was rock solid, A+. I loved it. I'm going to give it a solid 10 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.